Fear can be a veil. One night, the Greys appeared and held me physically paralyzed, but the ensuing fear didn't tell the whole story. I went from terror to understanding to forgiveness. And apparently, that story is still unfolding. While filming this very episode, a jellyfish UFO arrived and hovered above the nearby cliff the entire time I was filming and hiking. I'll tell you more about those details in the next episode, but first, here's my personal story with the Greys. Many people have heard of the Greys, feared, memes, misunderstood. I wanted to understand them though, face my apprehension, touted with fear. In persistent effort to understand them, I combined being open to the truth while maintaining neutrality, along with research and my personal experiences. Where do Greys come from? Who are they? What is their history? What do they want? Why are they scaring people? Now imagine Earth, but in a parallel universe, parallel reality. Imagine it is far in the future in this parallel universe where humans have become extremely advanced technologically. Over time, they grew so focused on intelligence and efficiency that they slowly lost touch with their humanity. Feelings, love, even spiritual depth faded until emotion itself became nearly absent among them. Unfortunately, due to this, their environment collapsed, leaving a barren wasteland. To survive, they moved underground. Their biology weakened and adapted to an underground home. With their DNA degrading and losing viability to reproduce, they were forced to turn to cloning to save their race. Over decades, centuries, their form shifted into what we now call the Greys. To preserve their race further, they used their technology to travel to parallel Earths, different timelines, our Earth, to collect needed DNA. In order to obtain the closest DNA match to theirs, most DNA came from their own mirrored family tree bloodlines here on Earth, some of you. But without emotions, they didn't understand the fear their methods have caused some of us. Over more centuries, different hybrids were created, blending Grey DNA with human DNA, and perhaps including other ET races. These hybrid Greys are not strangers. They are our distant relatives, our cousins from our own DNA. Their shared story is a warning and a hope to us that we don't lose our humanity and our planet the way they did. 2 weeks after I had been taken on board a ship and healed by ETs, this was in 2013, I went to bed, still confused, still processing. In the night, I woke to find myself completely paralyzed, unable to move except for my eyes and my mind. Fear began flooding in, a kind of deeply instinctive terror of which words struggle to describe. That was the only time across all my ET encounters that I have felt an overwhelming fear such as that. Later encounters brought a sense of wonder and even love, but that night was different. I knew something was in my room. I could feel a strange energy, a strange stillness that didn't belong. My eyes moved quickly around the room, body paralyzed. I caught a glimpse of movement. 3 long gray fingers curled on the doorway, gripping the frame. A hairless, leathery forehead caught the light. Not human skin, but gray and thick. As fear mounted, another movement. A short figure stood back against the wall near the foot of my bed, in the shadows, maybe 4 feet tall, watching. Survival instincts set in. With a failed voice, I could not cry out, but inside my mind, with my mind and erupting emotion, I screamed, "No! No!" I started praying loudly within, help me, Jesus!" And then a cry to Paramahansa Yogananda, "Paramahansa!" And immediately, the hand gripping the doorway pulled back. The figure faded. Slowly, over a few minutes, movement returned to my limbs. My arms felt strange as they came back to my own control. Still shook up and in shock, I rose slowly, cautiously, and with pounding heart, turned on every light in the house. For many months afterwards, I slept with the hall light on and my door wide open, a steady beam of light pouring into my room, laying out a light path of safety and comfort. That night became an unhealed place within me, pushed deeper as time went on, a buried fear with many questions and no answers. But fear can be a veil. It narrows vision, lays focus only on the surface, and distorts what's happening underneath. It distorts the truth and stifles inner growth. So I began to turn toward that fear, face it head on, face to face, to remember, to investigate, to understand, and seek what lay beyond that terror. Without facing this fear, I know there could be no healing from it, because where there is understanding, there is healing, there is peace. As I turned my attention toward the fear, researching, looking for answers, something happened. With the energy of determination, focus, and passion on this quest of mine, putting it out into the universe, unintentionally, a door opened. A bridge to contact emerged before me. It was an invitation from the Greys. There were no spoken words, but a presence, a telepathic connection, gently initiated by them. It softened the first encounter. It reframed it. Face to face, in quietness, I allowed the connection. It felt gentle, to the point, and sincere. What came through was simple. We are sorry. We did not mean to harm you. Straightforward, yet rich with meaning. At first, I felt off kilter. Harm? I had not been physically harmed, but the wound inside me was real. They acknowledged that emotional harm matters. That admission shifted everything. I asked them why I'd been awakened that night. What were they doing in my room? Telepathically, they showed me images. In practicality, they were working with the ET medical team that attended me 2 weeks earlier. They were checking in on me. Being immobilized, they said, was routine to inhibit movement, meant for my protection and theirs. And I was not meant to be awakened. There was a tone of sorrow, and not the coldness I'd felt before. In that moment, the story changed. My fear started to dissipate and transform into understanding and even empathy. They cryptically said, "We have a history. You will know." Facing a fear face to face is uncomfortable, to say the least, but that telepathic exchange reframed that night of terror for me. From a perceived threat, an alien menace, to an open learning experience about beings, once very human like us, trying to survive. I left that contact stepping onto a bridge, crossing and meeting in the middle, with the possibility that understanding can conquer fear. At first glance, the land looks barren, empty, but look closer, it's teeming with life. My journey with the Greys felt similar. Fear was this barren surface, but underneath, there's something deeper. Life, reality, consciousness, and love within every atom, in every vibration, in every story. Their history, destruction of their own home planet, explains their detached ways. They weren't trying to terrify me, hurt me, but their lack of emotional presence made it feel that way. As I look upon this seemingly barren landscape, looking void of life, almost like some Martian landscape, I think about how awful it must have been when the Greys had inadvertently destroyed their own parallel Earth home. It's a story worth telling so that we don't do the same, and a story worth telling that provides some understanding of their ways. It's a story that answers those questions asked by the ones who've also had encounters with the Greys. You know, the Greys don't call themselves that. We gave them that name. I wonder what they call themselves. They are distant ancestors, cousins, born of a parallel Earth that could no longer sustain life. Their lineage continues now as hybrids of different races, woven with human DNA, visiting us across the present and future. Understanding this, I lean into forgiveness. But forgiveness doesn't mean approval. It creates space for my own peace. And that freedom matters more to me than the carrying of the weight of the past. Freedom lies in the present. As I walk among these rocks and seemingly dry landscape, I notice hidden life everywhere, beneath each stone, each leaf, and along each off-beaten path. There is beauty always waiting, veiled, until you choose to take a closer look, to take notice. That is what understanding feels like. A light breaking through, dissolving old fear, past beliefs and conditioning, revealing truth, reality beneath. And with that comes wisdom, and wisdom reigns over all fears. The Greys once frightened me beyond description, yet knowing their history, their difficult and tragic path, their survival, I find compassion within the understanding. They were, and in some ways still are, human, but from another parallel universe, another Earth. Forgiving them does not mean I condone the way they interacted with me, but I do believe this. With understanding, there is peace, and when peace takes root within, it radiates outward. So here, in this present moment, between cliff and sky, I choose understanding, I choose forgiveness, I choose peace.